think whenever we get a chance to talk about habits, it's one of those things. Not only do I just look forward to talking about it, but habits, I truly believe, are the foundation for all success. And so I think we all can be more diligent about it. And today is not going to be any exception. We're talking about 5 simple habits that saves me personally over 20 plus hours every single week. Remember, I said these are habits that I use personally. These are habits that the ancient philosophers and so many incredible people that we consider successful have used over the years to better themselves and, most importantly, get to their goals, their dreams, and their aspirations. And so I want to talk to you about 5 simple ones that I personally use and I find to be very profound. It's been tremendous in my life. I promise you, it's going to pay off, right? I've never met anyone that implemented certain habits that are very positive that did not see incremental results over time. Now, before we dive into anything, I wanted to share with you something that I was actually reading right before I started recording this episode. I was reading this book, Mastery, which I've been talking about the last 2 episodes. And the author was talking about this whole thing where it's very important for all of us to focus in the small little details of all the actions that we take, right? And why does that even matter? The one thing that he emphasized on is that whenever we pay close attention to small little details, for instance, let's say you have to go see your friend that lives about 10 miles away, right? If you start thinking about the car, you think about your brakes, and if you start paying attention to checking your seat belt, think about all the small little details before you actually get in the car and then take off and go on that journey. If you actually visualize and pay attention to every small details, how many things are you going to discover that you probably weren't paying attention to before, right? This is something that we all notice in our own life because it's easy for you not to look at the small nuances, right? The small details. But the thing is, in order for you to attain mastery, if you look at anybody that was one of the greatest to ever do anything in any sports, for instance, basketball, what is the one thing that's associated with Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant? Obsession. Obsession is simply focusing on the nuances and the details that most people do not pay attention to, right? So why am I saying this for this episode? We're going to talk about habits. I'm going to mention a whole lot of stuff. We're going to talk about so many different things. Your goal is to pay attention to the small little nuances that I'm going to communicate today. The ones that most people that's going to listen to this episode is not going to pay attention to. Your job is to see these things and then actually go out there and implement it in your life to make it better. Like I said last week, if it's not resourceful, we don't talk about it on this podcast, right? Every episode, everything that I want to talk about with you guys, the idea is to make sure that you get some sort of value, something that you can go and implement in your life right away. All right, now that we got everything out of the way, let's dive straight into these 5 habits that I deem valuable, resourceful, life-changing. Remember, we're talking about habits. If you don't implement these things, then I don't know. If you already are implementing them, I hope you keep doing it, all right? So the first thing on the list that I want to talk about, and I think everyone out there, especially if you are into personal growth, you want to better yourself, you want to improve in any aspect of your life, I strongly suggest that you schedule yourself in a calendar. I'm going to say that again. Schedule yourself in a calendar. Why does this matter so much? And why is it that I always talk about how important it is to schedule yourself? 1, if you do not schedule yourself for the upcoming week, if you do not take time to strategically plan what you are going to do, you are going to assume that you are taking the necessary actions to get you the outcomes you want. Unfortunately, in most cases, the actions we are taking is not getting us where we want to be. So I cannot say enough that every single weekend, you need to take the time, write down everything you want to do. And on top of that, not only does it help you actually stay focused and make sure you are taking actions that's in alignment with your goals, but you get a chance to plan for your health in terms of exercising, in terms of your nutrition. You get a chance to plan for your relationships, right? Spending time with the people you care about that we talk about all the time. But not that only, you get a chance to also plan how you're going to execute financially, right? Which is what we just talked about during evaluation time. The thing with calendars, the thing with scheduling that most people get wrong is that they think it's a prison. And I don't even know where this started. People think calendars are restrictions. Like, how can a calendar be a restriction when it's your calendar? You get to decide what you want to do in terms of spending time with your friends. You get to decide what you're going to do in terms of training, how many days you want to go training, how many days you want to actually spend time with the people you love. Like, you get to decide all of that. But when you go into the week and you don't plan what you are actually going to do, what's going to happen is that you are going to take a whole lot of different actions, and then the month will come by. You're still not close to where you want to be. And when that builds up over a sustained period of time, it becomes frustration. And so please, whatever you want to do, including if you want to go spend 3 hours in the club, write it down in a calendar. And then all you do is when the time arrives, you follow through. Think about how much more effective you will become by simply planning what you would like to do tomorrow, which is going to be Monday from the day that I'm recording this. Just imagine this upcoming week, you knew exactly what you're going to do Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Monday night, right before you go to sleep. Just imagine you've planned everything in terms of your health, in terms of your overall family, in terms of your finances. Just imagine you have something planned out for each one of those things. Don't you think you're going to be a lot more peaceful knowing that you are taking the actions that's actually going to get you the future outcomes that you want? I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't listen to anything I always say, this is one of those things you should make a vital part of your daily routine. Do not wake up and go into a day without any sort of plan, hoping that whatever actions you are taking is going to get you where you are trying to go. This is called the guessing game. I made that mistake 100 billion times. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect simply because I have a calendar, but what a calendar does for me is that it keeps me focused. It keeps me focused on what I need to get done. That way I'm getting the outcomes that ultimately I want for myself, right? I don't want to wait to the end of the year and do an evaluation and come to find out, oh, actually, I wasn't doing what I'm supposed to do. That's another wasted year. Like, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm pretty positive you don't want to do that either. So every single weekend, take time. Your phone is a tool. Use it. Put things down that you want to do, things that you value the most, and go out there and execute on it. And I promise you, when you do, you get results. All right. So the second thing, or the second habit on the list that I strongly suggest everyone should implement in their life, which is basically a concept that I learned from a book. It's called habit stacking. This concept, the first time I came across it was in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, which in my opinion, if you watch this channel, if you watch this podcast, if you are an individual out there that is struggling to establish quality habits, right? Let's say you try to embark on a new habit, you do it for 3 months, you quit, you're struggling with the whole habit formation process. This, in my opinion, might be the most comprehensive personal development / habit formation book I've ever read, right? And I strongly suggest that you check it out. So let me explain this concept of habit stacking. It's basically, let's say you find a new habit, right? And you want to add that new habit to your life, but you don't have enough time in the day in your schedule to be able to do that. Or you simply cannot maintain the level of consistency if you decided to do that in the first place. James Clear in Atomic Habits explains how you can still do this. And it's very simple. This is what you do. You attach the new habit to an already established habit, which then makes it so much easier. You don't have to dedicate a special time to execute on this habit. Because you're already doing the already established habit, it makes it so much easier to do the new one that you want to add, all right? Now, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you want an individual out there that wants to be more grateful for their life, right? You want to be grateful for your loved ones. You want to be grateful for your career, but you don't have the time to be able to do that. One of the things you can do is that we know we eat 1, 2, or 3 meals every day. Take the time to actually say one thing that you are grateful for right before eating. You see how easy that is? That is called habit stacking. And it's one of the most easiest way to add a new habit to your life. Personally, this is how I use it. And I've talked about this on the podcast before. So I go to the gym 3 times a week. And every time after my workout, I go to the sauna for about 30 minutes. Before, I would just spend like 20 minutes in there watching a bunch of TikToks, Instagrams, laughing and joking and giggling. But then when I found habit stacking, now what I do is that I take advantage to read whilst I'm there. So it makes my reading so much easier in the sauna, whereas most people find it very hard to read even 1 time a week. Now it's so easy for me. I'm able to read 3 times a week with no problem at all. So habit stacking is one of those things that if you're already not doing it, I strongly suggest that you find a way. And again, you can do this in so many facets of your life, right? I want you to be so creative with this. Think about so many things you want to do and think about the habits that you already have established. You can add so many things to it, right? To make it so much easier. That way, you can keep growing, keep getting better, and keep evolving. All right.